Hey guys, welcome back to the channel GI Life, where we talk about military issues, things affecting us in the military, educating ourselves in financial goals, and what to expect in the military when you join. Today we're going to be talking about military pay, which is a big issue. It's an important one. You also want to know what you're going to get paid when you come in, and I'm also going to give you some tips and tricks on how to gain extra rank when you first join the military. Stay tuned, we're going to get right to it. If this channel gives you great tips and tricks, feel free to like and subscribe, and post comments in the comment section below with questions you might have and videos you'd like to see in the future. Alright, getting right into it. So first off and foremost, when you join the military, most people are going to come in most likely as an E2 or E3. Reason being, a lot of people that come into the military have either civil air patrol backgrounds, college credits, and there are various ways that you can join the military and get extra rank instead of coming as a regular E1. That's the first thing. So entering the military, let's say you entered as an E3. Rank pay across the military is pretty much structured. It doesn't matter what branch you're in, it doesn't matter what area, reserve, guard. Basic pay is basic pay. There are other incentives that you could receive, which would be, for example, in the Air Force, if you're a flyer, you would get basic pay as well as flyer pay. Those are two separate pays. Your base pay is standard. Your flyer pay is also standard, but then you also have additional things which include BAH, BAS, and for Navy people, I think you guys get C pay as well. Divers pay if you're a diver. You also get, depending on where you're located as well, that pay could also be tax-free. Your base pay could also be tax-free. Also, depending on where you're stationed, maybe you're deployed or you're in a location that's not an accompanied location, you could also get hazard pay. Or family separation pay is another one that I'm forgetting as well. I receive family separation pay. If you're married or you have kids or dependents, family separation pay is another pay that you would get added to your paycheck as well. Breaking it down as far as pay, the important things to remember would be your deductions. And these are things that we need to educate ourselves about. When you fill out a W-2 form, the things that you need to be aware of are how you claim your dependents. So for example, one, it always mentions on the form itself, you claim yourself. That's the first thing. If you have any dependents such as kids, you also claim the kids. You put how many kids you have. That's the second thing. So that would already create two dependents. Later on in this channel, once we start to grow and the audience gets a little bigger, what I'm going to start elaborating on is having something outside the military, in terms of having probably a side business, a side hustle, a gig, whatever you want to call it. This is 2020, folks. There are different ways in the military that you can make money, or there are different ways outside the military, even if you're a civilian, that you could make money. Come on, it's 2020. There are apps, there are different avenues of freelancing, and there are a lot of different things that I'm going to elaborate on in later videos that I'm going to give you guys tips and tricks on how I make extra money, an additional roughly almost $20,000 extra a year or more. Actually, in 2012, right after I came out of basic training, I started a wireless business. I made $77,000 that year in sales. And out of that $77,000, approximately, I'll say 30% of that was actual profit, because in each sale that I made, I would make sure my commission was between anywhere from 5 to even 40%, depending on what item I sold at that point in time. There are different things as well, such as mystery shopping. Mystery shopping helped me out a lot. If you guys been following my channel, when I had my financial downfall back in 2014, when I had my financial downfall, mystery shopping came in clutch for me at that point. I was doing probably about $400 a month in mystery shopping. I was doing different locations as well. For example, I'll fly to Boston and I'll do a chain shop in Boston with 11 stores. I'll leave Boston with probably $150 for the day, or anything like that. And that was added income that was non-taxed as well. So when I did my taxes at the end of the year, I actually include my expenses to go up to Boston and do all that good stuff. There are also merchandising apps. There are promotion apps that you could actually sign up for that will pay you as much as $400 a day. So there are a lot of different things that you could do on the side that would make you extra money. And that's apart from what you get in the military or in your civilian job. Another issue that we'll cover pay is investing some of your pay and how your pay breakdown should be. For example, when you receive your paycheck, how that breakdown should look. For new people coming into the military, like I mentioned in my first few videos, a lot of people run into financial difficulty because the first thing they get would be tattoos, new cars, and a lot of times they expense themselves. Like for example, if you guys never heard about Beast Babies, go research a term in Google. But a lot of people come out and the first thing they do is get married without understanding the consequence of getting married or how that would affect their life. So they come out to meet somebody at their new base and I remember when I was in basic training, we actually had classes on this kind of thing, where you would go to your first duty station, you meet Rose, and all of a sudden you and Rose fall in love, and 3-4 months later you and Rose got married, and 5 years later Rose is divorcing you because after a certain time period, Rose is now entitled to receive her benefits from you because you guys were married, and now you're going to give her spousal support. A lot of people don't think about stuff like that, and I always remember my MTI mentioning that to us as well. And I remember we had a class where our instructors went over that kind of stuff with us as well. So those are things that you have to take into account. Another thing is being married to a military spouse. So for example, you and your spouse are on the same base. You guys are, let's say, both E3s or E4s, and you are both going to receive your basic pay. So pretty much multiply your pay if you're the same rank. Let's say you're the same rank. Let's make it easy. Let's say you're the same rank. So you guys both going to receive E3 or E4 base pay. You guys could actually go into Google or find a military calculator to calculate the base pay. This is 2020. And I know we just received a raise as well. So you guys can calculate the base pay. BAH is dependent on your location and rank as well. So depending on where you're located, your BAH is going to be dictated by that area where you live, by the state. So for example, my state is New York. My home of record actually is in New York, and about 80% of the time, 80% of the year, I'm in New York because I travel back and forth for work. So my BAH from my house in New York is, I believe it was $2,800. And $2,800 at the time, now granted I haven't checked it recently because that's not a big thing for me, but BAH at the time I believe it was $2,800, and now it's actually increased. BAH differs if you're single or if you're married or you have dependents. BAH could almost double if you're married or you have dependents. So a lot of people marry in hopes of getting this extra added money, and a lot of times it's not really worth it, guys. Saving money in the military is pretty easy, and you guys could go back and check a lot of other military videos where guys talk about when they first come into the military, they get to their first duty station, the downfalls that they made financially that set them back in life, and they had to, get things back together by saving and cutting certain things out. For example, a big thing is drinking in the military. Drinking and partying. You get off work, it was a hard shift, it's the end of the week, it's your weekend, so to speak, and everybody goes out and, you got in a group, and who's going to buy the first round? I got the second round, somebody else got a third round. There are different ways that you could say it. For example, pre-gaming. You could set up where you pre-game, you head out, and you probably just got 2 drinks. Grab yourself 2 beers, call it a night. Another thing that I did, I got into the mentality after I started getting myself financially stable and more financially savvy. What I started doing was I would only go to certain places that I could get a return. So I look at it more like investing. If I go to a place, for example, I go to TGIF a lot, and I would make sure when I go there and spend my money, I get points. The entire, I would say maybe not even the entire year, let me not say that. 90% of 2019, I have not paid for a single meal at TGIF. That's how many times I've been to TGIF. I haven't paid for a single meal except for my drink, which I probably usually drink a beer with my meals at TGIF. That's just to give you an example. Another example is I used to go to a place called Muscle Maker Grill, I think it was called, and I gained so many points at Muscle Maker Grill because I started eating healthier. I could go there and get free burgers or free health meals. I actually joined their meal plan at one point, and the meal plan was awesome. The problem with the meal plan was that I travel a lot for work and I travel internationally, and a lot of these international places I couldn't bring my food, so that was a downfall. Another tip I'll give you guys about saving money while in the military. Your BAH is a set amount, like I said, and it varies depending on your location. So somebody living in San Diego versus somebody living in Norfolk, or somebody living in New York versus somebody living in Florida, or even a little closer, let's use Philadelphia compared to New York, or Washington, D.C. compared to Philadelphia. The BAH is vastly different. For example, like I said, New York at the time was $2,800 for a person with dependents, if I recall right, and $2,400 for somebody who was single. And then right now, I think that number is actually over $3,000. Versus Washington, D.C. area, Maryland, it was only $1,900. Versus Philadelphia, when I first joined the military, I was actually in Philadelphia. I joined in Philadelphia, and when I went to basic training and everything, I was there because my old job was in Philadelphia. My BAH was only $1,590, I believe it was, versus my wingman that went to basic training with me. He was from Maryland, and his BAH, I believe, was $1,900. So if you're going to receive BAH, and let's say, just throwing random numbers out there, let's say your BAH is $1,500. Why would you go get an apartment that costs you $1,500 and you will still have bills to pay on top of that? You still have your regular living expenses, so toiletries, groceries, utilities to pay. After that, $1,500 is already pretty much burnt out. So tip: when you're doing something like that and you're receiving BAH or any kind of living expense, and on the civilian side, we do get that as well, because on my civilian job, I do receive per diem for places that I travel to. So if you're gonna be receiving things like that and your BAH is going back to the number $1,500, get an apartment that is probably $800 if you could, and pocket the rest. That would help you start saving, and that would help you start setting aside money, and it would give you more accessible liquid money that's available to you. You could set that money aside for expenses, you could set it aside for entertainment, whatever you want to do with it. You could start saving right now to probably buy a home. And that's another thing we're going to get into later on, how to start setting aside money for a down payment for a house. And I always remember this when I enlisted in Philadelphia. My recruiter always told me of the 7 places that he's been to. He has a home in all 7 places that he was stationed at. I always remember that, and he told me how he did it. And I thought to myself, yo, that is genius. He used his VA loan every single time, if I recall correctly. And each time he moved, because you can only use the VA loan under certain conditions, like you can't have it on more than one home, and it has to be the primary residence. So I believe he said he used the first one for the VA loan. Then when he PCS'd, he was able to use it again and refinanced. So he got out the VA loan and used the VA loan again and another one until he was able to, go from home to home. And each time he moved, he just rented it to a military member that was PCS into his location. And all his homes were pretty much rented, so that was a pretty smart thing on his end. He was also single. And I think I'll tell you, single guys, when you come in and you're single, that is the perfect time to start saving, because once you got a family, expenses, I shouldn't say skyrocket per se, but you're going to incur more expenses. It's a lot harder to do a lot of different things when you start getting a family. I got my daughter before I came into the military, and I'll do a video later on that talks about how the military paid for my kids. So we're going to get into all that later on. If you guys like the video, it was informative, and it gives you a few tips and tricks. Feel free to like the video, subscribe, look at my previous videos. I'm going to start getting more and more detailed as the channel gets larger and larger. That way I could reach a greater audience, and that way the information is going to be more impactful. The goal here with my channel is I'm going to be elaborating more on military life, what to expect, if it's for you, if it's not for you, things to look for, and things you're going to want to discuss with a recruiter, how to pick your job, how to look for the future in terms of if you're going to leave the military, how that job is going to benefit you, certain areas you should look at, different branches to look at. And people always talk about this rivalry between the branches. I'm sorry, but we have our rivalry, and we're in the armed forces. We're allowed to have that rivalry, but believe me, it's a friendly rivalry. We talk a lot of crap about the Army and the Marines, and they talk crap about us being in the Air Force. Yeah, at the end of the day, we all serve together, we all stand side by side, and we all defend the nation together. We all serve. So we're allowed to have that kind of rivalry. Like LeBron and Steph, yeah, they don't hate each other, they compete. They have that rivalry, and they're allowed to have that rivalry. So we're going to start going deeper into the videos, like I said, once the channel gets bigger and I can reach a greater audience, and hopefully this information could benefit a lot more people. There are a lot of tips and tricks I'm going to give you guys how to clean credit. I've been doing credit now for about 2 years, and I've been cleaning up a lot of people's credit. So I'm going to show you guys the fast way to do that, how to start investing, the types of stocks and types of investments that I invest in, and how to start building your TSP or 401k or your IRAs for the future. So stay tuned, like, subscribe, and post any comments with questions or any concerns you have in the comment section. Thank you.